Loyal viewers, hello once again. It's your good friend Wild Elf 26 here at Games Wild Elf 26. This is a walk and rant, folks. Yep, the good old walk and rants. Most of you guys love them. I tend to enjoy them too. But they're not about the video quality. Although, you know, all this handsomeness can't be blocked. If I do say so myself. All right. But yeah, we're going to do this walk and rant in a second here. And I may be touching on a couple topics, but the main walk and rant, it might be a topic I've already touched on a little bit, but I'm going into more detail this time around. All right, so as usual, the walk and rants are not about the actual video image quality. Here we go. Proper camera angle. Alrighty, folks. We just enjoyed interesting February 2026. The winter has not yet ended here. Tonight it's actually in the mid to low 50s at the moment. I have no idea which night is going to probably drop back into freezing temperature again. And that's been the random nature of this winter. It's been an unusual winter in this part of Central Florida. But the theme of this walk and rant is a little different. You see, here we are in 2026. You know, we find ourselves after February 2026, after the elections, and between this time and that time, a lot of, well, historic things have happened. World history has been unfolding right beneath our feet, as it were. So, yeah, these are definitely some interesting opportunity times, I guess. But speaking of opportunities, there's still a lot of people struggling after the massive inflation here in the United States, which has been knocked down slightly. It's been knocked down a little bit in the past year or so, but it's still staggering, and there's a lot of side effects from this inflation, folks. Now, this walk and rant, it's about opportunities, jobs, and the state of those such jobs here in 2026. Now, some people, they have touched on the fact that there has been some surmountable difficulties, and in our local areas there's been difficulties too, but nationally speaking there's a phenomenon. It's nothing new. It's been, I guess, renamed or retagged as it's showed up in different media venues. They used to have something in newspapers called the classified ads. That's where people would take out an ad when their place of business is in need of a couple of employees. And they would pay the local newspaper or magazine junket, like the Penny Saver or something, whatever's equivalent in your area. And then, you know, on top of all this, now we fast forward ahead, and a lot of this is just social media platforms. Liked, Indeed, Greenhouse. And there's this thing that's been happening since the classified days. It's called phantom jobs, or some people also call it ghost jobs. Now, this makes it extremely hard because, in a way, ghost jobs, phantom jobs are a form of advertising fraud. That's right, folks. It's deliberate advertising fraud. You have people, bear in mind, whether it's corporate or rather large local franchises, and they sometimes like to keep a stack of current interested applicants. And when I say a stack, they want like 100 or 180 or something. And they will have an advertisement. Even back in the classified newspaper days, they would have it running for months consecutively, even though they would have descriptions on it like urgent, hiring immediately. which was all bunk. It was a load of bull. They did this mainly to keep their current employees to feeling a little bit nervous and a little more accepting of lesser hours or more hours for lesser money. And they would use every guilt trick they could pull on the employees, saying, oh, we're going to have to reduce some of the employees unless everybody agrees to get a pay cut. Yeah, if you've heard that, let me know in the comments. And I'm betting quite a few of you have heard that one. And it's a tactic that has worked way back when, and it's working in the modern day. Now, in this social media touchscreen device era, they say currently there's been one quote, job site known as Greenhouse, that up to 22% of job postings are ghost jobs. Yeah, phantom job, and this in itself is a massive waste of a lot of people's time and effort, and they will even go so far, some of these places will even go so far as to have a phantom interview. Are they going to hire you? No. The whole point of the phantom interview is to get a little bit more detailed outline of certain applicants to see if they are that unicorn in the crowd. Yeah, that's right. They want that non-existent, perfect employee. They want to know that they have one or two of them on the stack. And they actually believe they'll get this perfect employee. What it is somebody that's willing to be supremely exploited. And it's not work ethic, people. These are business owners that want to hire for the lowest possible and give the lowest possible, But they want you to turn around, whatever your day off is, forget that. We need you today. Whether it be time with family, maybe even a holiday, can you work Thanksgiving? That type of thing. And then if you don't want to work Thanksgiving, I don't know. It doesn't seem like you're really dedicated to our company here. They pull that guilt trip on you. And this alone would be, enough. This would be enough to give people quite a rage against their boss, rage against their company. Especially if they're a decent working employee that's somewhat reliable for the regular hours they got scheduled. But you turn around and they're always down in Florida, there's virtually no unions. It's what they call a right-to-work state. And a right-to-work state means that they can basically, at any point in time during your employment, they can tap you on the shoulder and tell you that they're dismissing you or firing you. And they don't actually have to give you a reason why. They could do it as a power move, to flex their authority in front of some other employees. And I've seen that where they've actually hired someone and they were there for maybe 3 days, and then to scare the other employees, they came down hard on the recent hire and then fired them. So yeah, that happens. I call it a Napoleon complex type thing, but it's just a flexing of authority. And you would think that these type of tactics, especially with the ghost jobs and whatnot, that this would be bad enough, right? Well, let me put it to you this way. In our local area here in Central Florida, all right, you folks are probably familiar with stores that are basically classified as a dollar store, Dollar Tree, $1 more, Dollar General, these type of stores. Well, without naming the specific brand, I will tell you that there's one of these dollar stores, and I'm not going to say what the brand name is, that has this pendant. They have a female hiring boss, and almost 98% of her employees are all female. Yeah, that's what she's comfortable working with. So that's who she hires. And she finds all kinds of criminy reasons to exclude and not hire males. So, yeah, there's that. That's an interesting thing to see. And on top of that, speaking of female-related hiring and different reasons of possible diversity hiring, and diversity is a good thing. However, it can be taken to an extreme, right? In the case of that particular store where it was just hiring females, basically. There's this one statistic, and this was in I believe it was 2025. They said that when a man and a woman are going for the same job position in some of these typical jobs in 2025, that women are anywhere between 38 and 40% more likely to be hired than the man. Yeah. So that's interesting. And you can Google that one. But that was a statistic from 2025. But the thing about that is there's a definite bias. And the reason of that particular bias is because typically your managers for the majority of businesses tend to be men. And they're looking around at their staff, and, just like most healthy men, they get tired of seeing a lot of other men. And so they think that the graceful appearance of a woman brightens up a place or makes a place look nicer or a little softer or something. So that's why this statistic is legitimate. But the downside to that is often the man might be more qualified to do the job, but he wasn't hired because they wanted to pretty up the place. So, yeah. If this rings a bell with any of you, if you have any personal experiences in this matter and can relate to any of this, then please tell me about it in the comments. All right, folks. But, I've got hope for the future, even for 2026. Right now, the international circuit's really kind of a shaky thing right now. Governments are kind of forming and reforming, and it's a interesting and maybe a little spooky thing going on nowadays. But, hey, at least it ain't boring, right? I think there was an old curse from the Chinese. The Chinese said, "May you live in interesting times." That was the curse. And let me tell you, folks, nowadays things are very interesting. All right, folks. You have a great one. I hope you enjoyed this somewhat long-distance walk and rant. And I'll catch you in the next one. All right. And may the Triforce bless you all. Da, 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 da.